I don't go anywhere without my stick.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat The Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside is my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And each week, we take a look back in time, decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, want to choose one for yourself, please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, the number of wipes each movie takes to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV. Review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. All that being said, Big D, what movie are you reviewing tonight?
Gene, tonight, it's a very special evening.
Yeah.
It's so special that I decided to try a new wine tonight. It's a celebrating wine. Basically, it's the last one that I could find in the fridge in the garage. It's an Ecco Domini Italiano a Pinot Grigio 2025.
Wow.
It's a good year. And you might ask, what are we celebrating tonight? Because tonight's film doesn't seem like it would be a reason for celebrating, but it actually is, because tonight is a milestone. Incredibly enough, August 17th, 10 years ago, was the first published podcast for Shat The Movies. It was big. It was recorded probably a week or two before then. So 10 years in, Gene. Incredible. I remember you giving a stat once that said, if a podcast makes, 50 episodes?
50 episodes.
We've done that and then some, which is pretty amazing. So tonight's commissioner, Stephen M., you hit the jackpot, buddy. You are a milestone. This is a collector. If this was one of those, like the playing cards, this would be a collectible patch. This would be one of those one-of-ones. And I went back and thought of it. 500 movies, Gene. You and I have been on most of them. Let's say roughly 2 hours a movie.
Yeah.
On average, could be a little bit less. That's 1,000 hours. That's us talking to each other for 41 days and 16 hours. Continuous, nonstop. So of 10 years, over a month of that have just been us talking movies.
And a lot of co-hosts have come and gone. We've changed the format from doing voting on the movies, which was incredibly hard to manage, to commissions. And all of that comes down to the people who have stuck with us. We still get messages to this day of people who were there since episode 2, episode 1, people who are new to the podcast, who went back and started from 1, people who listen to episodes over and over and over again. And I'm impressed because some of those early ones were kind of unlistenable. I'd like to feel like we're perfecting our craft.
We definitely are. We're definitely better, but also I think technology. We were at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
When we started, it was difficult. There weren't all of these companies out there that are having like one-stop shop. What is it called? A turnkey solution where you can just plug in a mic, record, publish, edit the whole thing. Back in the day, like you said, I remember, I think one of the cold opens, the first ones was, I said to Roger, I was like, we sound like we're talking on 2 tin cans with a string between them. And along the way, we found solutions. We found companies that were providing some good products. We learned the tricks of the trade and somehow survived. So thank you to everybody who's listened to a podcast, shared with a friend. I remember when we hit like 75 downloads. And I was like, yes! Half of those were my friends who I hit up on like Facebook or Instagram or just emailed. So to get where we are today, it is a testament to you. You've kept me going. You've shared the burden all these years. I appreciate you. I appreciate the friendship. A podcast of somebody who I never knew before Roger introduced us has led to probably one of the longer relationships in my life. So thank you to everyone who's listened, but mainly thank you to you.
Yeah, and Big D, I was just listening today to Digstown in the car, and every laugh that explodes out of us like while we're recording these things, those aren't scripted. Like that is like genuine shit. I never know what's going to come out of your mouth. It's nice to know that after a decade, like there are still surprises in there. It's like a really good marriage.
Yes, it's the best kind of marriage.
It's the best kind of marriage.
We're far enough apart, so like if I fuck up and I do something wrong, and you send me kind of a passive aggressive, angry email, and I know you've had a rough day at work, you don't have to come home to see me standing in the kitchen and me being like, Gene, I just didn't appreciate what you texted.
And we both get to fuck other people, but I still see you every Wednesday.
It's perfect. It's perfect, and we still haven't gotten any emails from Young Bottoms. Young Bottoms, please. We did?
Dude, we got an Instagram message from a guy who is, I think, taking a shot at you. And It was amazing because at first I was like, oh, that's not very nice. He said, and I quote, it's when you were powered by wine and you remembered the name of Girl Interrupted. And this guy said, powered by wine, dude couldn't even remember the name of the movie without the help of Google. And then I looked at his name, Mateo Bottoms. So we actually did get a message from Young Bottoms.
What movie couldn't I remember the title?
Girl Interrupted.
Oh, I knew what the movie. I knew the movie.
No, he's talking about me.
Oh, okay.
You remembered Girl Interrupted.
Okay.
But you were the one drinking the wine. Mateo, you got to pay attention, buddy.
Okay.
Got to pay attention.
I'm glad. So, thank you very much to this week's commissioner. It wouldn't have been, I think, the movie that we would have chosen for this iconic episode, but somehow it feels even more perfect. Because in the early 90s, movies like tonight's, it was common. It was a big commercial. It was a product placement. You'd find the thing the kids were doing, and you'd be like, hey, let's build a coming-of-age story around it. Maybe it's pirate radio. Maybe it's an extreme sport. Maybe it's some kind of sports underdog story. Anything. Dancing, singing, tapping, cheering. That was the next cultural event that the kids were into. You make a classic film out of it. Some of them stuck around. Most of them didn't. You had some music, some fashion, kids with attitude, high school. You mix it in. That's why tonight we're excited. Steven's got a couple commissions. And tonight we're excited for number 500 for you, Steven, and the listeners, and Gene, you, and everybody out there. Roger, the whole crew. We're going to review the 1993 sports comedy, Airborne.
Steve wrote in and said, good morning, Gene and D. For my second commission, I've submitted the lesser-known, non-classic Airborne. Growing up as a kid in California through the 80s and 90s was a very unique time and place to be. There were a lot of things changing in the mainstream with MTV, sports, music, and society in general. At the time, grunge and the X Games were both taking off extremely quickly. One of the facets of this was the rise of aggressive inline skating, where the skates and skating moved away from neon and beaches and toward the youth, half pipes, and skate parks. For a short period in the 90s, aggressive inline skating was nearly as popular as skateboarding. My friends and I hit high school at exactly the right time to fall into this new community and spent our afternoons following class and weekends at the local spots, skating for hours and giving side eye to the skateboarders. I built lifelong friends and memories through this niche sport and wouldn't have changed that period for anything. As for representation of our sport, though, to say it was lacking would be an understatement. Skateboarders had a slew of movies and still have new ones appearing in modern days, from Gleaming the Cube, Lords of Dogtown, and more recently, mid-90s, which captures the 90s skate scene and interactions extremely well. For aggressive inline, we didn't have anything until Airborne was released. Does it capture our lives in the 90s? No. Does it have kids going through the same trials we did living our day-to-day? No, but it had people on inline skates with a few select scenes of half pipes and handrails. And as they say, this movie might be an asshole, but it was our asshole. As for the film, we are treated to Jack Black as a jock enforcer and Seth Green as a shy and misunderstood youth just trying to fit in, very similarly to Can't Hardly Wait, but in completely different genre. The story is typical, but the cast is fun. And we are treated to a final race scene that brings out the ghosts of Better Off Dead ski race scene. Win, and you'll have high school immortality and the girl. As for a wipe score, your guess is as good as mine. It's entertaining, but not good. So whatever you give it is what it is. My goal with this one was to expose people to something they may not have seen. Hope you enjoy, and thank you again. As always, la ola es mía. The wave is mine. Steve.
How many times did he say aggressive? Aggressive inline.
Aggressive inline skating. You would think that at some point they'd switch to the acronym of ACE.
You know, is it that you're? I think maybe there's probably a stereotype of the people who are out doing the typical skating.
Yeah,
you know, like either the rink where they do the and they do the skating backwards and the cones. I guess aggressive was like the parkour extreme version to let people know you weren't just out there doing figure eights and pirouettes. You were maybe jumping trash cans and
handrails and half pipes.
Yeah, and going down the Devil's Canyon or fucking whatever it was.
Devil's
Backbone. But when this commission came in, I had this movie completely wrong. I always grew up with, I was a BMX guy. I remember BMX Bandits, you know, with Nicole Kidman. So I'm thinking this is going to be 80s, 90s extreme sports, like Rad, like you mentioned, thrashing, where you had like kid crime fighters, right? Kids would use their extreme sports to assist the police or to maybe exonerate their parents or stop crime. I was thinking, you know, BMX Bandits, you had Gleaming the Cube, you know, which was a great one, or even something like Aspen Extreme or Point Break. You know, Point Break was an extreme. You had the skydiving, you had the surfing. I was thinking big stunts, rival crews, over-the-top action, built around the sport. That's not what I got. This was false advertisement, if anything. It was a product placement for, I'm going to make aggressive inline. How many times did we need to see a helmet with rollerblade written on it or on a shirt? I just wanted some extreme action, Gene, and I got more here. Kids coming of age and with a little less heart than American Pie.
Big D, I told this story on an earlier episode, but due to the fact that we used to publish encore episodes around the holidays where we'd bring back something that we'd done before, I didn't have an accurate count of how many unique Shat the Movies episodes that we had done. So I started designing the episode 500 mission patch, which, by the way, they're here.
Wow.
Let's take a look. Big reveal. This is the actual product, guys. If you're listening at home.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, look at that. There it is. The Shat the Movies 500 episode mission patch. And I started designing this. It's on sale now at shatpod.com for those who are wondering. I thought our 500th episode, to explain this patch, was going to be Apollo 13. And then I was like, oh, fuck, it's not Apollo 13. I miscounted. But it works out because mission patch, Good Morning Vietnam. Guess what? Not Good Morning Vietnam. Turns out, episode 500, the biggest episode we've ever done, is a rollerblading movie set in Cincinnati.
I think it's perfect. It's par for the course.
Yeah.
This could have been, we've done enough epic 80s and 90s films. Yeah. This was what was meant to be.
This is what we were born to do.
We went into Blockbuster. It was a Friday night. Yeah. All the new release movies were taken out. The only thing left was this small movie. You know, behind the checkout was a young kid with a backpack and a helmet and some skates and a surfboard. And he said, you guys got to check this out. It's aggressive inline skates. It's the next big thing. And we took it. And that's perfect.
Airborne is a 1993 drama about inline skating directed by Rob Bowman in his feature film directorial debut and starring Shane McDermott, Seth Green, Brittany Powell, Chris Conrad, Jacob Vargas, and Jack Black. The film barely broke even at the box office and holds a 31% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The website's consensus reads, Airborne skates downhill with a threadbare story, flat characters, and wince-inducing dialogue. Let's hit the trailer.
Let me tell you what styling is. The perfect session. A-frame wave, ground swell, spitting out salt water in your face, doing a 360 without a bounce. I call it the consciousness razor.
Mitchell's life was a California dream. Until he woke up in Cincinnati.
What do you think? It's wild, right?
We're just so excited about having you here. Slow down a little bit, Wiley. Hands on 10 and 2.
His cousin wants him to meet his friends.
You. Where do I know you from?
You used to flush my head in the urinals.
They're an interesting bunch.
I could be Elvis. It's possible.
I really like to sleep, and I like Nintendo.
They all want Mitchell to feel right at home. And if it wasn't for Nikki,
How are you?
You must be getting pretty homesick, huh?
Not right now.
he'd have no reason to stay.
Man, I'm gonna throw up.
For the next 6 months, his days of sun, sand, and surf have been put on ice.
See you in school.
In a city where no one understands him,
I need traffic, smog, heat waves.
who would have thought he'd become a hero by doing what he does best?
Been challenged by the preps to a little skating race. We thought maybe you'd, want to skate on our team.
Now, he has one chance to prove himself. One final race to win. And he's the one who has what it takes to put them over the top. Airborne.
I think I'm starting to like Cincinnati.
When Mitchell Goosen's parents leave for 6 months in Australia, he is sent to Cincinnati to live with his aunt and uncle. He arrives in the midst of a winter storm and meets his awkward cousin Wiley, whose parents' lifestyle and demeanor is a bit old-fashioned. On his first day at his new school, Mitchell is antagonized by a gang of gritty hockey players who chastise Mitchell for his easygoing philosophy and California appearance. Steve, there's an old joke. What's the worst part about rollerblading? Telling your dad you're gay. Obviously homophobic. There is, listeners, zero correlation between rollerblading and homosexuality. However, the opening scene of this movie, it felt about as queer as early 90s cinema gets. There's it opens with this hazy lens filter. There's guys, they're stretching in the shadows, smiling at each other with beams of light over their bodies. They're strapping on all their gear. And it got me to thinking, the reason, Steve, why people didn't make rollerblade movies and the reason why they did make, aggressive inline skating movies, and the reason why they did skateboarding movies was because you cannot make rollerblade prep look cool, right? This would be the equivalent if today they're like, oh, we're going to make a movie about pickleball or CrossFit.
No, you're right. But tie that into this opening. Yeah, it's some epic waves. And they're trying to do everything to convince us. These guys, they are aggressive inline skaters. They're living on the edge. These guys, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be dangerous. Waves are crashing. We're getting skating montages, right? Everything is extreme. Everybody's cool. But then you look at what they're actually wearing, and these dudes are like a safety video. This is like an OSHA-approved thrill seekers how-to. Everybody's like, okay, they're looking at each other, and they're giggling. It's like, helmet, check. Knee pads, check. Elbow pads, check. Wrist guards, check. Nobody wore those wrist guards. No kid did. Protective glasses, Gene. This is like a safety video, not an extreme. There was some nerd out there who worked in the helmet company who's like, yeah, look at that. They're featuring, the kids are going to wear it. The movie screams radical. It's Airborne. And it's a very safe choice to open this way.
I imagine to get the help of Rollerblade for doing all the stunt scenes, getting Team Rollerblade to help out. They're like, all right, there was some lawyer at Rollerblade that was like, all right, in order to do it, got to have all the gear on. And marketing probably loved it.
Oh, they must have sold so many knee pads. And so there was probably some parenting group, right, that said it was kind of like where they had to have the parental warnings, where the parent group would say, if you focus on the safety, we'll take them driving or sliding under cars or getting serious injuries. We have to do that. But I said in the opening, I said, the movie is not what you expected. If I took the box off of the shelf at Blockbuster, went home and watched it, I'd be pissed off. Because it is a fish out of water, California kid. He's trying to fit in. He's not a reckless suburban rebel. He doesn't have any problems at home. He doesn't have a drug addiction. He doesn't have a brother who gets killed. He doesn't have a parent off in prison. He's not facing any challenges. He's pretty wealthy, living with parents who love him, surfing when he wants. He's not needing for anything. He gets shipped off to Cincinnati to a high school. And even the bullying gene caught me off guard. I'm expecting this is going to be hardcore Cincinnati bullying of a California like surfer dude, right? The extent of their hazing and their bullying is like buckets of cold water, glue on lockers, harmless pranks. I'm thinking you're going to get Buddy Revell, someone who's going to beat this kid senseless, and there's going to be actual danger. We get none of that. This instead is like a lighthearted coming-of-age comedy. It's not action sports. They could have done so much more with this, but it felt a bit like an after-school movie about him growing up. It could have been a completely different cover art and just thrown in the extreme sports.
Yeah, Airborne really does give us some nice surprises. It's not what I expected. Like you said, based on the cover, this is not the movie I would expect to watch. But instead of adding up to make it a decent movie, all these moments, these good moments, they feel like a tease at how good this movie could have been if they really let it run loose, right? On Mitchell's first day at school, they give us this incredible series of daydream sequences, right? First one, Jack, he charges across his classroom like full speed. And Jack is, I think he looks like somebody's dad. He's like a 30-year-old man.
Yeah.
He's a man. He runs, he blasts Mitchell through a window. It's fantastic. And then you get Jack's girlfriend and she's looking at Mitchell and she's imagining him and he's sitting in class, but he's got like board shorts and no shirt on and there's like a breeze in his hair. Girls are straight up, while he's doing a presentation in class, they're like licking their lips. Like, it's wild. And I thought, okay, the movie's hitting stride. It's going to be this throughout. But they didn't. They stopped right there. They did not carry this tone throughout the movie. It's beyond me. Big miss.
No, and he leans into it more than I would have thought. He's introducing himself to the class and like, hey, Mr. Goosen, can you tell us about yourself? He's like, I'm here to be styling. Let me tell you what styling is. It's a perfect sesh, a frame wave, groundswell, spitting out salt water in your face, doing a little lip action move 360 without a balance. I call it liquid Drano wannabe bullwinkle. I tell you no lies, my friend. It's a consciousness razor. And I'm like, fuck, this kid is going to get his ass beat in a rough and tumble Cincinnati school that just wants to skate and play hockey.
To be fair, he does get knocked unconscious for what looks like about 7 hours.
Oh, yes, that's true. That's true.
I mean,
the rest of this movie might be his brain swelling against the inside of his skull.
It's Jacob's ladder.
Jacob's ladder. Yeah, Jacob's ladder.
The devil's backbone is actually the journey into hell, aka Kentucky.
I think he's trying to get out of hell. Yes, in some kind of reverse purgatory.
With an upcoming game against the rival Preps, Wiley and Mitchell are asked to fill in for two hockey players undergoing punishment for misbehavior. Mitchell scores an own goal, prompting Jack to knock him unconscious. Over the course of the next few weeks, Mitchell and Wiley are harassed relentlessly, culminating with Mitchell having a dream that convinces him to peacefully confront the situation.
So, Gene, a lot of times we get films where there is a child of affluence, and I have a hard time sympathizing when the plight and the problems they face are really just superficial. And they whine about the challenges. I have zero sympathy about rich kid problems. And then this movie catches me completely off guard because, yes, he has to leave his perfect life behind. And if I grew up in California every day, surfing those sweet waves with my hot bro friend, when we gear up together and then we like just eye fuck each other and skate down to the water. We go surfing, but yet we don't have our surfboards. It's like one big surfer gay wet dream. I would be pissed off if my parents told me, hey, guess what? You're moving to Cincinnati in the middle of the winter. That would crush my spirit. So right away, I'm like, okay, this is a legitimate culture shock. This kid has something to be complaining about. Instead of beaches, he's getting a rundown. I mean, we both have been out to that area of the country. It's not wonderful when the weather's nice in the summer. You throw it in the middle of the winter. And I'm like, all right, you're giving up palm trees and beaches for miserable, dirty, gray, salty snow roads. It's awful. Nobody's happy. Goose is going to be miserable. Change the lifestyle. And I felt for him because my parents, when I was maybe 8th grade, my sister was a senior. We lived close to New York City. They said we have to move for a job. My dad worked for IBM. They were going to move us to upstate New York.
Oof.
I'm talking 35 minutes from the closest mall, hour to a movie theater. They took us for a tour. And we were getting the nasty looks from the kids in the 4-H club. I had never heard of a 4-H club. They had a thing for like cattle. I was like, where am I going? If this had happened, my life would have been very different. So I could feel the pain of him having to go there even for 6 months. If I had lived in upstate New York, my life would be very different.
Yeah, Mitchell's parents most seriously hate him. First of all, there's such a thing as homeschooling, right? Like he could go with them to Australia. His parents, they're respected scientists. Like they're going on a grant to Australia. I'm pretty sure they could teach Mitchell over 6 months. They also have schools in Australia, last I checked. I don't think they're being entirely honest about why he can't go to Australia with them. I think they're sick of his shit. I think they're sick of, just the way the kids in Cincinnati are. And sending him to Cincinnati, it seems more like punishment than the only available option. Because for people who haven't seen this movie, it's not like they make a plan and then he goes to Cincinnati. They don't discuss with him at all. They've already called Aunt Irene. They've already made up the plan. The first he hears of it is, buddy, you're getting shipped off to Cincy.
Dude, and they're glib about it.
Yeah.
They're not only, it's not sad, we're sorry this is happening, we have to go. They're going away on some Australian fuckfest. The parents don't want him around. Maybe it's tough love that they think he's a soft California kid.
Yeah.
And they're sending him out there to toughen him up. But there is no compassion for him. It is exactly like you said. It's, hey, pack your shit, get in the car, you're going to the airport.
Well, Big D, when I was putting together the outline for this episode, I had a really hard time with one particular thing, which was the preps. I was trying to figure out how to describe them because I didn't really know what the preps were. And I just went with rivals. It's been a week now. I've been thinking about it. I still can't figure out what the preps are supposed to be. They are, for the uninitiated, a rival hockey team / like rollerblading gang. I don't know if they're from another school. I think they are, but that school apparently doesn't have a name. Nobody has uniforms, so they're just playing in like whatever. And so I can't tell if these are like two street gangs that settle their shit through hockey and aggressive inline skating, or what's going on here. And I'm not trying to be difficult, Steve. It just feels like a really easy thing to make clear. Cobra Kai. It was another school. We get it. Okay. Beacon Town, right? Rival school. We get it. They're all clearly a group of something. The preps, they're sort of, it's just like some dudes we're supposed to dislike, I guess. I don't know what they are.
Well, Gene, I've put a little thought into this. Okay. The only thing that shows that they are preps is the leader is named Blaine. Other than Blaine, we don't have anything that distinguishes them. And this is an 80s and 90s trope. It's normally rich kid bully, poor kid dynamic. It's a fundamental trope. It's culture war. And you use the high school ecosystem to highlight the difference between the two groups, right? The kids of privilege, what they have, what they can do, their parents, their affluence, and then the kids who are working class underdogs. Everybody. We see it across the board. I know what they were going for. You got the rich, preppy bullies. They run the school. They have unearned confidence. They have perfect hair. They're crisp, the expensive wardrobe. They're wearing the cool clothes. They put other poor kids down because they don't have the money to buy that. And you are stressing that weaponization of the wealth disparity between them. We don't get that. So I'm like, all right, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's the working class against the managers, the owners of the town, like the Goonies. None of that. We don't get any of it. You think Pretty in Pink, right? You've got the rich boy, poor girl, working class, Molly Ringwald, Andy, that whole thing. Karate Kid, you mentioned, Cruel Intentions. There's nothing that makes them affluent. There's nothing that has a true battle of two groups. And we don't even know, like you said. And I think maybe it was somewhere along the lines, like we have to have an enemy group. They don't have nice things. You see them doing their underground, like street hockey. They're all driving beat to shit station wagons and rusted out Chevy Citations. So I don't know.
Blaine doesn't even have underwear.
He doesn't. And he has his jock strap is soiled, because they call him like Brown Streak or whatever. They make a joke about that he either shit himself or these are not but maybe that shows you how depressed the economy is in Cincinnati, that there's even multiple layers of affluence maybe like his parents actually haven't lost their home, and the rest of them are extended families. Maybe that's it.
Now that you mention it, on that date scene, I don't think they ever buy anything. Like, I think they go to the riverfront and then they go to the restaurant, but nobody actually eats.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are poor.
They're just putting like lemons in the water and sugar packets, making their own lemonade. That's probably why all the servers are like, get them out of here, please. And they even mentioned that they hang out in there a lot, drinking waters.
Well, eventually,
or Gene, go into the botanical gardens. Because I didn't see, that's their date. It's not a movie. It's not a restaurant. It's not flowers. It's walking around in a public place.
Eventually, Mitchell falls in love with Nikki. On a double date with his cousin and Nikki's friend Gloria, Mitchell is harassed by the leader of the preps, Blaine. But Jack, who turns out to be Nikki's brother, arrives and saves the day. Mitchell's dream comes true when he decides to join Jack and his crew for a street hockey game against the preps. Mitchell embarrasses Blaine, winning the approval of his teammates.
So, Gene, I've suffered with ADHD for many years. I've been medicated for probably 25 years now. I have trouble focusing. I've learned tricks to function as an adult and handle multiple tasks, remain focused, and to get things done that are important. So this movie speaks to me on an emotional, personal level. This movie has so many things going on in its head. We've got a culture war. We've got a coming of age. We've got extreme sports. We've got aggressive inline skating. I know it's a lot. It starts out, it's a fun, extreme inline skating. We got tricks. They're like doing rail slides and jumps. It's X Games stuff, right? And then out of nowhere, it turns into a hockey movie. This is Airborne. This isn't Slapshot. There's nothing in the title or the cover art that tells you it's going to be a hockey movie. And hockey, I will argue, is in this film more than inline aggressive skating. If you just take out that 35-minute race at the end, they're doing hockey much more. And I don't understand the downhill combat rollerblading through traffic on Devil's Backbone. That's not even a sport, right? You go hockey, inline skating, surfing. There's a whole lot going on here. And I think it would have been better if they had just focused on one sport. It would be as if the Mighty Ducks, halfway through, they started doing competitions in figure skating or started to do some form of rollerblading with the skills. Did they have to do multiple sports?
No, I thought at the beginning, I mean, it was a rollerblading movie, but I thought at the beginning that it was going to be, they're surfers who also rollerblade. I didn't expect hockey to get thrown in there, and then I definitely didn't expect Devil's Backbone to get thrown in there. And at this point, I'm still trying to figure out how Mitchell rollerbladed down to the beach and then magically had his surfboard appear for Mondo waves. For people who haven't seen this movie, there's this thing. They skate down, they leap, and then it cuts to them on surfboards in the water. And there is not a human being on the planet who watches that sequence and thinks, where the fuck did the surfboard come from?
No, and I think they missed the opportunity. Why not have it? Yes, he is the extreme skater. He skates even in Cincinnati. Then the team needs him as a hockey player. He's a great skater. He comes out, and the finals is the big school hockey game. It's something where he has to use his skills skating. Then he learns the grittiness of checking and slap shots. And in the end, they come together. It merges the two worlds.
Hear me out. And then by learning hockey, he earns Jack's respect. They don't have to do Devil's Backbone at all. And he has to give up that laid back Californianess to develop some of that Cincinnati grit and learns an appreciation for that Midwestern kind of life.
Boom. He then has to decide, does he go back to California?
Yeah.
Or stay with his new, because in California, he had that one superficial friend. Here, he's learned salt of the earth.
His boyfriend.
The working class. Well, he could, I don't think they're going to accept him in Cincinnati in 1986, maybe. But he's deciding whether or not to go back to California, and maybe he tries to find the best of both worlds. And he goes to like Vancouver. You could do both in Vancouver. Right?
Well, on the topic of picking a sport, Big D, Mitchell really needs to learn how to prioritize and optimize when he's packing for a trip. This guy flies to Cincy on a jet plane with a full-sized surfboard because I don't go anywhere without my stick. He knows full well there's no ocean in Cincinnati, or if he doesn't, then his parents have been doing a terrible job of homeschooling him. But you know what he doesn't pack? Rollerblades. the rollerblades that he loves so much, which are significantly more compact and practical and suited to being a badass in a hilly city. And it's not like it's the thing that's overlooked. They make his idiocy a part of the plot. He's like, oh, I'm feeling so down. Oh, sweet. My package arrived from California. Apparently his parents haven't left yet. And they shipped him his rollerblades. And then he's on cloud nine.
And I also got to call bullshit on this. I'm not an extreme athlete, but I know from just flying a lot, if you watch golfers at the airport, they have those high-tech bags so they can ship their golf clubs.
Yeah.
You see sometimes some longboards or whatever it is, he puts that thing under the plane, no packaging. It is out in the open. That shit would have, can you imagine? That would have been it, Gene. He gets to Cincinnati, the surfboard's broken. It's a metaphor for his spirit, right? His old world, the tide was broken. But no, he's in Cincinnati now. He's got his board. Maybe he's going to use it as a flex, a little show and tell at school to make the kids a little jealous. But the movie now, it's got to get going. So he's getting bullied at school. He's got his cousin who's a bit nerdy. Other than that, he is a social pariah. The girls like him, but he can't get near them. Jack and the other goons have now knocked him out, left him unconscious, and he's got to find some friends. So he goes out skating, and what seems like in an afternoon, Mitchell goes from not being able to find a friend to growing his own crew at an absolute record pace. Mitchell goes out, snow is gone, he gets out and he starts skating. It's warm in Cincinnati. It seems like the seasons have changed. He's got skateboard kids. He's got BMX kids. He's got other aggressive inline skaters. He's even got some kids who are hanging out drinking juice boxes. And he's like, yo, extreme. And he does like a skate against the wall. They get up, they start laughing. And because it feels like a 90s commercial for Pop-Tarts, at the end, they all come to like a sliding stop together, right? And they're like, oh, yeah. They don't talk to each other. It's just all of a sudden they see one another. They get together. They're sliding. They're doing cool tricks. And they decide, we are going to be part of a crew. It's ridiculous, but somehow it's charming. All of these kids in Cincinnati for the first time have found their cool, good-looking leader. And the movie is like, we got the skate gang. It looked like an X Game commercial, Pop-Tarts, Kool-Aid, Hot Pockets. It was a wonderful montage of just kids getting together.
The eagle eyes on this guy. So Diggstown, you notice James Woods getting a blowjob. I completely missed it. When I looked at your notes and you mentioned the kid with the juice box, I thought maybe he meant a boom box and he was just, wrote down the wrong thing. There were just kids hanging out with juice boxes?
Yeah, like 4 juice boxes.
Were they the skateboard kids?
It was the skateboard kid sitting on the stairs. When he comes by and does his little kick flip, they're like, whoa, fuck those juice boxes. And they get up and haul ass and leave the juice boxes on the little step.
And this montage isn't the only montage in the movie. It seems like Airborne wanted to set the record for most montages. I counted 5, including this, like the gang's all here, everybody do a trick montage. There was the surfing one at the beginning, which you could pair. I mean, it's 5 if you count that separately from the opening rollerblading one. But I really can count those as 2 because there was rollerblading and then there was surfing. There's the breakup montage. So after he has his little falling out with Nikki, he's like looking at the river and shit. There's music playing there. And then, of course, there's a fashion montage where it's Seth Green and Mitchell, and they're trying on clothes to Right Said Fred. And normally I would complain about that. But when a movie has dialogue as bad as Airborne's, I consider the montage a welcome break from that script. They were okay.
They were very well needed.
Was there music in the arboretum or the greenhouse too?
Oh, 100%.
Oh fuck. Okay, that's 6 then.
Yeah. Yes. There was. Yeah. There was definitely music. Yeah. And that little grooming scene of the fashion stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's the message at the end? What is it? Oh, it's the Popeye, right?
Yeah.
He comes to realization. And, that's another theme we have to throw in here about, understanding
Popeye
your
is gay?
inner power. No.
Yeah.
I am what I am. And that's Popeye's power. So he tells him he's got to accept himself. So that's a new theme, self-acceptance.
Which is fucking weird because it seemed like, other than like feigning an interest in hockey, it seemed like Wiley was already being himself. Like, what kid is going out with like a black leather, like tasseled biker jacket and round red sunglasses and a beret, with, I guess, BDU pants and like boots? Like, you don't see that every day. I thought he was being himself.
Yeah, I think if anything, knowing his cousin maybe rolled that back a bit and made him more of a conformist. But whatever gets him out of the basement, I'm all for it.
Well, I apologize to Brittany Powell, who plays Nikki in this movie. I was not familiar with your game, Adam. Fans of the movie Stacy's Mom are no doubt familiar with the MILF incarnation of Brittany Powell, but I literally gasped when I saw her as a 21-year-old. This woman, she's layered up because it's Cincy. Like, there's no skin showing in this film. And she is still among the most radiant women I've seen in our 500 films here at Shat The Movies. And I'm not just talking looks. Like, she's got loads of charisma. Also did some Playboy work, which I recommend not checking out because it immediately feels weird after you've seen this movie.
I agree with you 100%. I didn't know she was Stacy's mom, but there's something about her. She's
gorgeous.
She's gorgeous in a relatable way.
Yeah.
She could be that super hot, unattainable girl in your high school. There's nothing artificial about her. There's nothing fake. She seems genuine. But her character, I don't understand. They're layering on so many plots and so many threads that they never can tie up neatly. I don't know why they do it. You now introduce Nikki. She's beautiful. She's this mysterious girl who seems different, appreciates him for who he is and his philosophy. And then they want to complicate this romance. Why can't you just have it? Pretty cool girl finds surfer guy from California who's deeper than you would think he is. But now you got to mix in that she is Blaine, one of the preppy guys, exes, and also Jack's sister.
Right.
So now Jack doesn't want him to date him because of the whole debacle at hockey. And then you've also got Blaine, some kind of aggressive, oh, you're my property. And it's just a lot going on that you could have I thought there was extreme sports in this.
Okay, so a couple things here. One is I thought this was catnip for Big D because when we first meet her, she's wearing like a ball cap and like no makeup. And I'm like, oh, he's keying in on this shit.
Fuck yes.
She also wears like those like ankle length skirts.
Do you know why, Gene? Because she's confident in her beauty.
That's exactly it. But also, listen, I lived in Ohio for 5 years, and there being one attractive woman in all of Cincinnati, like who happens to be like, of course, Blaine dated her. She's the only hot girl at school. Maybe this is the origin story of the preps. So Blaine and Jack, they're friends. He mistreats Nikki. They have a falling out. Blaine forms the preps, and now they're rivals.
Yeah, but we still need some kind of socioeconomic divide. Reason.
Well, she rides a bus, so
did
clearly.
We even know, Gene, maybe the preps is the name of their hockey team or their gang?
Yeah.
I think it's not actually that they're preps.
No, I don't think they actually are. I think that's just their name.
They probably just go to a prep school, but it's a Cincinnati prep school, so it's probably nothing more than a school that makes them wear uniforms.
Maybe they wear more protective gear, so they're the prepareds.
In this movie, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, hockey players Snake, Augie, and the Banducci's ask Mitchell's help with a race down Devil's Backbone against the Preps. Snake reaches the finish line first for Mitchell's team, but two Preps swiftly follow suit. Blaine decides to barrel into Mitchell, but lands in the waters below, and Jack and Mitchell score a tandem victory to the cheers of their awaiting schoolmates and the kisses of their respective love interests.
Gee, I love this. We've done so many extreme, sports films and or just even films in general in the 80s and 90s. If there was any dangerous place in your town, it couldn't just have a name like Elm Street or like Miller Place. You couldn't have any of that. It had to have the most dangerous, over-the-top name. It was like in our review of The Wraith. I said that in Arizona, there's so many locations that have either death or purgatory or murder involved in it. Here we get the Devil's Backbone. We had Hell Track in Rad, gonna run the snake in Iron Eagle. Something needed to sound dangerous. Like when you hear about it, you're like, oh, those kids got paralyzed running the snake. Like it's unlocked some kind of secret level where you earn your jacket or your membership into the preps or into their group. And it's just, I love it. Once they start talking about it, my mind is like, what the hell can Devil's Backbone be? Is this like the K2? Is it the K12 or whatever?
K12.
What's it going to be? You know, did Satan himself come down and manipulate the ground to design this? You know? And I think that's as ridiculous as it is. I think it's true. Every town had a legendary name for some place, some geographical anomaly, some road that was dangerous. We had a hill where there was the story that a kid went down on a big wheel. It was Hillside was the name of the street. And then they started calling it Killside because the story was the kid was on a big wheel, went down, couldn't stop it because it didn't have rubber wheels or those plastic ones. And he slid under the back of a station wagon, got trapped and was there for like 20 hours until they pulled him out and he was real fucked up. I don't know if that's true, but did you grow up with any deadly areas like Killside?
Yeah, we had the Hill, which was a dual purpose actual, I mean, as big as hills get in Chandler, Arizona. And people would meet there after school to play. I'm sure you did this. You played tackle football, but like without pads and stuff.
Of
you know,
course.
just play tackle football. Which again, as a parent now, I'm like, what the hell? Like, I understand why my mom was so pissed off when I come home with like a black eye or a bloody nose or, you know, busted lip. I'm like, oh, I was just playing football, Mom. No, you're not supposed to do that. You need protective gear. But it was also where people go to fight. And it was funny because like there was no calendar, but it seemed like there was a system that worked out. They're like, oh, like these dudes are going to fight, like no game today, you know, whatever. But then at Kiwanis, which is a park by my house where I live now, we would do ice block racing. So in Arizona, obviously we don't have snow or ice in the valley. So you go by ice blocks and you sit on them and you ride them down hills. And when it's grassy hills and when it's really hot out, they move pretty fast. I've experienced this, other friends did too. When it catches on like any sort of a hole or a divot or any sort of a rock, bloody buttholes all over the place because that ice block is going right in your gooch. But that's about as crazy as it got down here. In Prescott, there's Angelina's Grave, which is supposed to be a haunted. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a haunted like mountain spot, but nothing too bad.
No. Maybe not the Devil's Backbone, maybe Road Rash Hill, maybe Concussion Hill, Concussion's Backbone, something like that. But I'm shocked. There's no sheer cliffs. There's no metal exposed fences. Really, what's the danger other than you slide under a car? There's no real peril. You know, there's no river. There's no 50-foot drop. I would have thought maybe like the roads of California along the coast may be more perilous, but I'll go with it because the movie, to its credit, the final downhill race, it's pretty exciting. Now, I don't know if it's because it's exciting or at this point in the movie, I was really just craving anything other than botanical gardens, skating, kissing, hookup, googly eyes, or drinking water at the local diner. But the downhill, kids, for people who haven't watched it, I'm going to assume it's 99.9% of the audience other than Steve, who's watched this movie recently. You take the two teams. There's, probably like 10 guys on each side, maybe the entire hockey team. They start at the top and they're going to go down this, seems like a 10-mile curved road, right? They are dodging traffic. And the way it's filmed low, it speeds it up. You get a couple of crashes while they actually made me wince. You know, like when you watch a bike go down or a person crash and get road rash. I think stuntmen legitimately got hurt on this film. There's one that slides under a car into traffic. There's one that misses a semi by a couple inches. Somebody goes off of like a 4 or 5 foot hill, hits asphalt, and it's like there's exposed skin, no CGI. And it just felt at this point where I'm like, yeah, the people are cheering. It is a much better ending than I expected. Is it thrilling? Is there a chance of somebody dying? Is there any like dangerous sabotage at the end where somebody's like trying to throw a wrench in the skates or they loosen the wheel? None of that. This is PG after school safety video commercial for rollerblades or aggressive inline skating. But it was, I think, as exciting as I could have hoped.
It's a lot better than a lot of movies do this sort of thing. I felt like I was watching an Olympic event or like an extreme sport. Like I was invested, the moments were largely believable. And it's also really, really long. Movies don't normally have race scenes that are this long. I expected when they started the run down Devil's Backbone for the kids to be rollerblading down a street. Maybe it's like a hill with one or two curves. But this race, it's all over Cincinnati. It's going through city blocks. It's going down highways. There's construction sites, what looks like Riverfront Stadium for a while. I half expected them to roll through like a wedding, two guys carrying a plate of glass and like an old West town before reaching the finish line. But it doesn't get old. I was entertained throughout the entire race, and heavyweights could take some notes on what a real final competition looks like.
They could have hit like some crates of like chickens and the chickens go flying, but I didn't understand the entire concept. I thought the whole team had to get there together, but it's just 3, right?
3, yeah. The first 3.
Why was there, this is the Devil's Backbone. Why no sabotage? All of a sudden, the preps are playing it fair and square. There's nobody who are ganging up, blocking, throwing debris, no sabotage on the course. It's played pretty straight and fair, which isn't the preps way.
Yeah, I thought about that, but the rule set actually made a lot of sense because Blaine says the rules are there are no rules, right? So you can do whatever you want. But taking a person down on rollerblades means that they might also take you down, and needing 3 to get across made it so that you couldn't afford to really lose many people. So it kind of worked out. And they made it so that Blaine's own cruelty was his downfall, right? His hubris was, if he would have just skated straight, he would have ended up the third person. Even if Mitchell ended ahead of him, they would have still only had 2, Snake and Mitchell. So he would have won. All he had to do is he could have just coasted in and still would have won. So there's a point there. There's a message.
So, Gene, if we were drafting, you're starting a new team. Who is your number 1 pick of everybody we've met?
Oh, Snake for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Talk about Devil's Backbone? Oh, he's a maniac. He's a maniac.
Hockey, bully in school, ice hockey, anything. Snake, MVP.
Knife collector?
Yes.
Snake. He's
probably the lover boy. He looks like he's got kids. So he's probably, but Snake, amazing. MVP.
Now's the time in the podcast we give our wipe score for Airborne. The wipe score is our way of telling you how many wipes this movie takes to get off your respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It's a liquid Drano wannabe Bullwinkle, and 5 wipes is an absolute disaster of a film. It's when you get so busy fighting over waves, you never enjoy the ocean. Big D, we'll start with you. What is your wipe score for Airborne?
So, Gene, this movie, it had a lot of philosophy. I don't know that it always stuck, but there's a couple of them I'll always remember. You don't have to fight the shark to fight for the waves, Gene. And if you know, you know. But the biggest thing I can say about this film, and it's going to sound like a backhanded compliment, it's harmless. Airborne is harmless. Do I think it's great? No. Do I think it's a secret masterpiece? No. This isn't even Gleaming the Cube. We don't get Tony Hawk driving the Pizza Hut truck with all the other skaters. There's none of that. It's more fish out of water, teen coming of age, California surfer slang, innocent school pranks. It's an after school, movie, 90s kids. There's some charm. The main character, good looking kid. He carries the movie, but it's goofy. It's safe. It's ridiculous, but it didn't make me angry. And for a 500th movie, I think we could have done far worse. So I'm going to go 2.5 wipes. It's what I expected, and I couldn't imagine that I would have left the theater on a summer day back in 96 if I'd seen this.
So 2.5 wipes?
Yeah, it's average.
I think you are high on the accomplishment of 500 episodes. You're riding that wave, man. Let's be serious, Big D. The script in this movie, it's bad. It's not a good script. The characters, they're all cliches. The montages they reveal in a lack of narrative ideas. The acting is bad. Jack Black somehow manages to be annoying. And the whole movie is just, as you said, a big ad for rollerblade gear. Okay. Or maybe surfboards, or maybe hockey, or maybe Cincinnati. I don't know. They're advertising something. Other than Brittany Powell, amazing, and The Devil's Backbone, which I've actually written down on mopeds. This is a pretty bad movie. I have to come in at 3.5 wipes.
You're making me feel bad, but is it too low of a bar to say it didn't make me angry? Like that it was... I'll put it this way. You know what else? Okay, hold on.
What?
Remember we talked. Hold on.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about how the situation
Yes.
can affect the movie. So my father, my mother and father, sister, her 2 kids, and husband came into town. It was my father's 80th birthday.
Mazel tov.
It's getting later in night, and I'm going to put on Airborne. And I told my dad, I said, hey, not trying to kick you out of the living room, but I got to watch Airborne. He's like, so what's this about? And I'm like, it's an inline skating film, right? My dad sat there and made it to the Devil's Backbone. And he's looking at me like, what is this film? He's like, but I'm so far into it. Yeah. He continued to watch it. And I think maybe it was that I started, because I do my notes, right? So I'm dictating my notes. He thought I was talking to him. So he kept trying to break down characters and what they were doing. So maybe that's also why I really liked it.
You know, we've talked about the sort of bumps that movies get based on all sorts of factors when you're watching it. We really haven't discussed the bump of watching it with another person. I think that adds or subtracts rather like half a wipe in and of itself, right? When you're watching a movie by yourself, you're not picking up. It's why watching movies in theaters is great, right? It's like you're picking up all the vibes of everybody around you. And famously, when Roger and I watched Cable Guy together, right? In tears laughing, which by the way, many people have written in and said that your question about Ben Stiller being a Nepo baby is rendered moot by the fact that he directed movies like Cable Guy and is an absolute genius behind the scenes. I think we were talking more like him getting his start as an actor.
Yeah.
But yes, point taken. Cable Guy is a fantastic movie. But anyway, Roger, and I, we watched that movie together, and it got an incredibly low wipe score. We loved it. We laughed our asses off. And I think if we'd watched it separately, it might not have had that sort of a kinetic effect.
Agreed.
That being said, 3.5 wipes from me, 2.5 wipes from you, Big D. That gives us an average wipe score of 3 wipes for our 500th film, Airborne.
So, Gene, that now ties this in a bunch of other films. Some will make sense, others won't. That now ties this with Mortal Kombat, Grease 2, Over the Top, Revenge of the Nerds, Commando, Boondock Saints, Adventures, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, Dark City, Smokey and the Bandit, and The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah, kind of a mid-movie. What spot was it again?
It is in the 334 spot.
Okay, so lower half. But
yeah. So even though it's, 3 wipes, it's, I mean, if it was, I wouldn't say I'm going to go out and seek to watch this again, but I don't know that I would do that for any of these other ones.
But when you call your dad on a Saturday afternoon, you'll have Airborne to talk about.
Oh, I can remember, Gene. He never really took me to movies. He wasn't a big movie guy. We went to see Karate Kid in the theater.
Oh, wow.
And I remember how uncomfortable I was at the kissing scenes, and it was awkward, and I just wanted to crawl under the seat. So it was nice this many years later. This is now 42 years later, roughly, to sit there and watch this wholesome after-school show about rollerblades. And it was a good time. Appreciate your folks and your loved ones while you have them.
Yeah, I never had that experience.
Well, that's why you just appreciate the ones you have.
Thanks. All right. Before we close out, Big D, we've got some email. First one comes in from Raymond Wang. He says, hey, guys, I'm falling down a bit of a rabbit hole listening to the new and old episodes, and I'm loving the reviews, conversations, and occasional side quests. You have great banter and commentary, even when I disagree, and have put together really fantastic content overall. Thank you so much for doing so. I thought you were only doing 80s and 90s movies, but poking around the site, I noticed a few 2000s movies had snuck in. Are there specific rules around which 2000s movies you will or will not review? I'm debating 2 specifically. The first, High Fidelity from 2000. Formative, complicated movie for me. The second, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, 2006. I haven't done deep research on it, but I feel like this is the one where the franchise began to embrace being both serious and campy, or seriously campy. I have a ton more to say about either, but please let me know what your initial thoughts are. Thanks again for putting together such a great podcast.
I think Tokyo Drift was my first date with Vanessa, or it may have been Anger Management.
Okay.
With I can't tell you who was in it, but I remember going to see Tokyo Drift. Even though that isn't like our bread and butter, I would definitely do that. That's the one that's Japan. It's the there's no Vin Diesel until the very end. I would do that.
I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie. So that in and of itself seems kind of fun.
See, but I don't know that this is the way you go in.
Yeah, but High Fidelity is, I mean, it's John Cusack, it's Jack Black, it's one of my favorites. Record Store, Chicago, right? I think Chicago. Yeah, Chicago. It's, I'd be all over that one, Ray.
Yeah, I'd be over for either.
Cool. All right, next up we have an email from James who says, good afternoon, Gene and Big D. Just catching up on some episodes while working overtime this weekend and just finished up Good Morning Vietnam. As there was talk of the lack of Robin Williams in the Shat Pantheon, I would love to commission the absolute best Robin Williams performance I could recall, Death to Smoochie. I know it's outside the 90s, being released in 2002, but are the early 2000s really that different from the late 90s? Love to make this my fourth commission, and as always, thanks for the laughs, James. Big D, I recently read a Substack piece about how we remember the first half of a decade as the decade before it. So when people think of the 70s, they're generally thinking about stuff that happened in the early 80s. And when they think about the 80s, they're really thinking about stuff that happened in like 90 to 94-ish. So there is a logic there. But I was wondering, I mean, Raymond's question is good, and James, I think, has a good question as well. What is your criteria for when we allow those 2000s movies in?
You know me. I've been a 2000 slut for years. I've thought we should have them I thought almost like when we got into the 2020s that we should start opening up every 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, like right now in 2026, you could do up until 2006. But I'm more, if we have a listener who is passionate about a film and they can make even just a loose, case for why it's special to them, I'm all about it. But that's me.
I mean, you're the one who books the movies, so I'm willing to go along with them.
I've never seen Death to Smoochie, but seeing Ed Norton in, it looks like a Barney Rhino suit.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've never seen this.
Yeah,
but
it's
you
great.
have
it's
Danny DeVito.
very dark comedy.
Oh, of course, Death to Smoochie, please, all right. Yes.
Sounds like we're in. Next up, we have a 90s movie. And it's an email from Phil who says, Dear Shat Crew, I have two movies in mind for reviewing. Number one is Jackie Chan in Rumble in the Bronx. How have we skipped over Jackie? And the second is Big Trouble, written by Dave Barry. I know it's out of the 80s and 90s scope, coming out in 2002, but I'd love to hear Dick's take on the Florida Man aspect of the movie. And it is a quick 85 minutes. Anyway, let me know about either or both, perchance. Thanks for all you do, Phil. I would love to do some Jackie Chan, and I really like Rumble in the Bronx, so I'm in for that one. As for Big Trouble, not familiar with it, but Florida Man sounds good.
Yeah, definitely. And Jackie, man, is there anyone who defined a genre or that created a genre simply by his personality and what he was willing to do? I mean, he took a traditional fighting film format and then threw in the acrobatics, the danger, the laugh. Absolutely special. And I'm surprised that we haven't done him by now. Yeah, I'd be all about either of those.
All right. Sounds good. And if you'd like to request a commission, please write in at host@shatpod.com. We'd love to get your commissions, opinions, or celebrations of our 500th episode. Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, next week, a wandering drifter looking for a fresh start finds himself swept into the extraordinary competition unlike any he's ever experienced. Surrounded by elite fighters from around the world, he must rely on his determination and grit as much as his skill. Along the way, he discovers that honor and respect can matter more than the victory itself. Next week, we're reviewing a film about adventure, martial arts, and proving yourself on the biggest stage imaginable. This came out in 96, and I dare say this movie has been seen less than even tonight's film, but this was a surprise, Gene, this one. I don't want to tip anything off, but not expecting this.
Is he so much a wandering drifter as a 1920s clown on stilts?
Was he a clown?
When was he drifting?
I think he could have been a mime. I thought he was more like
he talks, so I don't know. I don't think he's a mime.
Well, we didn't see his performance. We saw him off stage, maybe going to a performance, but he's more like a criminal mastermind or a ringleader of child thieves.
Yeah, Peter Pan sort.
Yes. Yeah, not a drifter. No, he's pretty much staying in one place.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but we need to talk about what a mime is. Okay. A mime, it portrays a story. Is a theatrical performance. They don't juggle and like walk on stilts and shit. They're not a sideshow act. They're thespians, right?
Well, I don't, again, yes, I think you're correct. Maybe I was really focusing on just, it's hard to hear the accent and to hear him because he's very, very physical in the way he performs with his hands and his head that I could almost see him doing it silently.
Okay.
So I've just never, have you ever thought of him as a clown? Why was he a clown?
We'll get to it next week.
I almost want to tell people now, listen, go search what the movie is and watch it. Watch it. We rarely tell people to do this. I wouldn't waste a couple hours if it wasn't worth it. Go watch this film.
Yeah.
Gene, do you want to tell them what it is? Just go look. It's on the schedule.
Let's just say Big D sending you on a
Van Damme as a clown.
Yeah.
An actual clown.
But not the funny kind.
Not the funny kind. No. It's got a lot going on and it's worth the watch.
All right, Steve, thank you for the journey that you took us on with Airborne for our 500th episode. Thank you for our upcoming commission as well. Thank you to all the commissioners who make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat The Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media, share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat The Movies. You can email us, host@shatpod.com. Support the podcast by buying our merch or commissioning your own movie. Find all information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV. Review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all information on our website, shatpod.com/TV, wherever fine podcasts be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. That helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-hosts, past and present, Roger Roper, Big D, Dick Ebert, The King Bee, Carrie Gross, and Ash, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next time for the following movie.
Where did you learn to fight like that?
It was long ago.
On the run from the law.
Check the cargo! He's here somewhere! Move it!
Captured by gun runners.
A stowaway. You work for us. Put him in chains.
Who the hell is that?
What's your name, son?
Christopher Dubois.
Mine's Dobbs. Your Dobbs.
Hurry it up, lads.
Sold into slavery.
Chris Dubois, the United States of America, the best fighter I've ever seen.
Be ready at all times. You will learn that.
He wouldn't give up until he found a way to win back his honor.
The best fighters will meet to compete in the Lost City for a dragon made of solid gold.
I tell you what, you get us to the Lost City, and I'll make sure that we come back with the gold.
Here in the Lost City, we greet our first heroes.
The quest